Okay, let's talk about something I think almost everyone listening has probably dealt with. You have a job interview, maybe several rounds. It feels great, really positive.
Yeah, the conversation flows, you click with the hiring manager.
Exactly. You walk away thinking, okay, I'm definitely in the running here, and then just silence,
Oh,
radio
yeah.
silence.
Nothing. Crickets. It's that feeling of being ghosted professionally. So frustrating.
It really is. And confusing, maybe even a bit insulting, right?
Totally. It's like this ultimate professional shutdown. But today, we want to kind of move past just the feeling of it.
Right, let's dig into why it happens.
Yeah, we're doing a deep dive based on some analysis, specifically looking at why companies seem to disappear after interviews. The mission here is to figure out what's actually breaking down inside the organization when that communication just stops. And I think it's crucial to state this up front because it really changes how you, the job seeker, might think about this. The core finding from this research is pretty clear. Getting ghosted. It's almost never actually about your talent or how well you interviewed or your value. Absolutely, that's the key takeaway. When you get that silence, you're usually not facing a personal critique. What you're seeing is more like an organizational glitch, a system failure.
So the silence isn't feedback on you.
Almost always no. It's a reflection of the company's own internal issues. Maybe poor communication, maybe organizational chaos. Basically, it's their internal dysfunction showing up as external rudeness.
That's actually kind of empowering to know, isn't it? It lets you maybe stop agonizing over what you did wrong.
It should. It shifts the focus. The analysis we're looking at points to three main culprits, three things happening inside the company that lead to this ghosting.
Okay, so 3 internal drivers. Let's break them down.
Understanding these can help move you from, anxiety about it to maybe just analyzing the situation. So the first big one, it's what the source calls internal chaos and shifting priorities.
Okay, chaos. What does that look like in practice?
Think instability, maybe at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
A company decides it needs someone, they kick off a search, you interview, but then, strategy changes upstairs.
Right, like the C-suite suddenly pivots. Maybe they cut the budget for that new product line, or that department expansion gets put on hold.
Precisely. And suddenly the role you were perfect for, the one they were interviewing you for, it might just vanish.
Yeah.
Or get frozen, budgets get pulled.
And the candidate is the last one to find out.
Often, yeah, because roles are constantly shifting internally. So the hiring manager might be sitting there knowing the job is now on ice or even canceled, but the official word hasn't trickled down or the process to formally close it is clumsy.
Okay, but hang on. Even if the role is frozen, shouldn't the manager still just send a quick email? I mean, isn't that just basic professional courtesy? Is the chaos really the reason or just an excuse?
That's a fair point, and it definitely connects to the other reasons we'll talk about. But this first cause, the chaos, it explains the initial problem, the trigger for the silence.
How so?
Well, the moment that budget gets yanked or the priority shifts, the internal machinery for that hire just jams, approvals, HR steps, everything needed to move forward or formally reject, It all stops. The manager might genuinely want to update you, but the system might now require them to jump through hoops just to close out a dead job posting rather than send a simple update. Ah, I see. So it's less about intentional rudeness and more about paralysis within their own system. They might not even know what to say because the company hasn't finalized the decision internally or told them how to communicate it.
Exactly. The chaos creates the initial blockage. It paralyzes the process.
Ah,
Okay? So, cause 1. High-level strategic shifts causing roles to disappear or freeze, jamming the communication flow. That makes sense. What's the second driver? So if the first is about strategy messing things up, the second is about the actual machinery, the processes themselves being broken or overloaded.
systemic failure, basically, not just one person dropping the ball.
Right. This is where the whole system might be too complex, too slow, or just inefficient. And the analysis really highlights how these complex hiring systems can sometimes actively prevent communication rather than help it.
And I bet I know where this is going. The applicant tracking system, the ATS.
You got it. The infamous ATS.
Yeah.
For anyone listening who maybe hasn't run into the term, that's the software companies use to manage the whole hiring pipeline from when you
Right.
first apply all the way through. And how does that cause ghosting? Well, often it comes down to friction. Bad design or bad implementation. Think about it from the manager's side. To hire you might be one click. Approve offer. Easy. Okay.
But to reject you, in a clunky ATS, that might mean logging specific codes, maybe writing custom feedback that needs legal review, getting HR sign-off, updating multiple screens. It's work.
Ah, okay. So there are often more hurdles, more clicks, more compliance steps involved in formally rejecting someone than in just doing nothing.
Precisely. Especially if they have, say, 50 other candidates in the system for various roles, the path of least resistance. Just leave the candidates they're not moving forward with in pending limbo.
Hoping the system eventually sends some automated rejection email.
Which, as we know, often never actually goes out, or it goes out 6 months later. So the inefficiency, the system's own complexity, it kind of encourages inaction. 0 clicks to do nothing versus, say, 14 clicks and multiple approvals to send a proper rejection. A busy manager might just default to 0 clicks.
So the ATS, which is supposed to make things efficient, can actually become a communication black hole if it's not set up or managed right.
It can absolutely be the communication killer, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so we have internal chaos, and we have broken systems like the APS. What's the third piece of the puzzle?
This one shifts focus a bit. It moves away from strategy and tech and more towards, well, the human element. The third cause is basically the avoidance of conflict.
People just not wanting to have difficult conversations.
Exactly. This is squarely on the individual behavior. Maybe the hiring manager, maybe the recruiter. Even if the role is still live and the ATS technically works fine, ghosting can still happen simply because someone is actively trying to dodge an awkward conversation.
Like what kind of conversations? If they know you're the runner-up, or if the feedback is kind of sensitive?
Yeah, both of those. The research points to a few common scenarios. One is definitely the overqualified talk. It's tricky to tell someone they're too good or too experienced without sounding weird or maybe hiding the real reason, like budget.
Okay, that makes sense. What else?
Another is vague feedback, like culture fit or personality. That stuff is really subjective, hard to explain, and easy for a candidate to push back on. So easier to just say nothing.
Right. Avoid the potential argument or debate. And what about the runner-up situation? I feel like that's got to be a big one.
Oh, absolutely. Keeping the runner-up warm. If they send you a definite no, that door is closed. But if they just go silent...
They can still call you a few days later if their first choice falls through.
Precisely. The silence is strategic avoidance. It prioritizes the company's backup plan over giving the candidate closure. The manager avoids the personal conflict, the potential pushback, the awkwardness by just disappearing.
So let's pull these three together for you listening. You've got internal chaos shifting strategies that kill the role.
Yeah.
You've got broken tech and processes like a clunky ATS making rejection hard. And you've got plain old human conflict avoidance managers dodging awkward feedback or keeping options open.
It's like a perfect storm of organizational breakdown, really. A trifecta, as you said.
And understanding this, I think, connects back to that really important point we started with.
Yeah. If you get ghosted, you have to try and recognize that this is very likely an indictment of the company's way of operating, their communication, their systems, not you.
You have to actively disconnect their silence from your sense of professional worth.
Exactly. Don't internalize their dysfunction. It's not about your performance in the interview. It's usually about their internal mess. Okay, so knowing this is almost like a protective shield. It stops you from taking personally the failures of a company you don't even work for yet. So just to recap quickly. Cause 1, internal chaos, shifting priorities. Cause 2, broken systems, bad tech like the ATS. And cause 3, the human element, fear of conflict. And seeing the silence as a symptom of their issues, poor management, bad systems, rather than as some kind of valid feedback on you, you're often just collateral damage in their internal processes breaking down.
Which leads us to maybe a final thought, a kind of provocative question to leave you with. If a company consistently fails at something as fundamental as communicating during its hiring process, like the very front door to the organization.
Yeah, if they can't manage basic communication closure when they're trying to attract talent, what does that imply? What does that level of dysfunction suggest about, say, the actual job you were applying for?
Right. What does it say about the long-term health or stability of that role? Or the team dynamics? Or how they handle project deadlines or internal communication once you're actually inside?
Could it be that the ghosting itself is maybe the most valuable signal you received? A warning sign, perhaps?
Maybe you dodged a bullet. It's definitely something to think about, the difference between getting useful feedback, even if it's negative, versus just experiencing the noise of a company's internal breakdown.
A really important distinction to keep in mind.